Hi everyone, so I'm going to show you a full edit using the Outdoor Painterly Portrait collection. I have just done some frequency separation to the skin because it's not included in the collection, but that's literally all I have done. So I'm not going to use any blur because I don't need to. I don't need to light the image up, but I do need to bring the exposure down a little bit. So we've got a few options in here. We've got too hazy, which it isn't. Darker mood, so it'll make it darker. We've got exposure down, and too bright, make it right. You just need to pick your favourite one, basically. Have a play around with them so you can see which is your favourite. Too bright, make it right is my favourite. It just brings it down really nice and subtle, and I'm going to bring that opacity up. You've got that option then to make it stronger or bring the opacity down. I'm going to use my black brush around 40% and just bring some of that light back on her face. And wherever the light is hitting in her, I'm not going to do here where the arm is because it's already quite bright. Don't need to. Let's bring those fingers a little bit on her hair. And make sure that all the light is back on the eyes. I'm just going to take a little bit away from underneath the eye. Okay. So then we have Fix the Neon background, Painterly Warmth and Painterly Cool. I'm going to go with Fix the Neon background. Just gives these really gorgeous tones. I am going to use a black brush and I'm going to mask about 50% off her skin. I'll turn that off and on. And then I'm going to use the opacity slider and bring that down a little bit. So you can get quite a few different tones just by using your opacity slider, so make sure you use that. Painterly Warmth, Painterly Cool, you can add that if you want to, either or. I really love them both. I'm going to use Painterly Cool here and go for a little bit different. Okay, so you can see her skin's quite orange yellow now, so I'm just going to bring some of that back a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to turn it down. I don't want it full on cool. I'm going to go somewhere in the middle, so we'll go about there. I'm going to come back to the subject adjustments shortly. I'm going to come to curves and use the create depth action. And you can see this just really emphasizes those blacks and just creates so much more depth in the image if I turn that off and on. But we don't want that all over, so I'm going to use my black brush around 60% opacity and I'm going to click over the eyes. I'm going to bring all the light back on the eyes because I don't want dark eyes. And then about 40% I'm going to use a bit of a bigger brush. I'm just going to wiggle down the centre of her face. And what this is doing as well is also building up that dodge and burn look, so just really giving that nice painterly feel. And then I'm just bringing the light off wherever it is hitting. So make sure we light those hands up as well because that's really important. Turn that off and on. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit of, oh no, let's go for tonal adjustments. So we've got Embrace Neon Yellow, which I don't want to do. We've got brown tones, soft green and blue tones. I'm going to click brown tones and see. Just ignore that. I'm just going to click it again and it'll play. Okay, so then I'm going to turn down the opacity. A little bit more. I'm just mainly looking at her. And then I'm going to use my black brush at 100%. I'm going to bring all that green back in the background because I really love that green. I am going to just take away this bit of neon here with the white brush. Okay. So now I'm going to go for, I'm not going to do any colour transformations. I quite like the colours in it, in the image. So we've got skin. So I'm going to go for lift shadows. So it doesn't have to necessarily just be on the skin. So I'm going to go within where all the dark shadows are that I just want to lift. I'm going to switch my brush to about 40% opacity, and I'm just going to lift the shadows in the eyes a little bit, around the hair. Lovely. Then I'm going to go for blush cheeks, so I'm going to zoom in. I'm just going to add a bit of blush onto the cheeks, and then make my brush smaller and brush that on the lips as well. I'm then going to use a black brush and just click wherever it's a little bit too harsh. Perfect. Then I'm going to go for smooth skin. I'm just going to smooth out all those tones. So I'm going to switch to my white brush. I'm just going to mask that on. It is quite harsh, this smooth skin action, just so you have the option of really smooth skin or just subtle. So all I'm going to do is just turn down the opacity slider a little bit. I went a little bit too close to the edge when I was doing my frequency separation, which you can see here, this line here. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to make a new background layer, then a blank layer on top of that. And I'm just going to, rather than do it with frequency separation again, I'm just going to use my eyedropper tool to select the colour right next to it, and then I can fix the line. And I'm just doing that at 20% opacity. You can absolutely drop the opacity down if you're comfortable doing it a little bit less. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to add a layer mask and use my black brush just to mask off wherever I've gone over the hair. Much better. Okay, so now I'm going to come up and I'm going to use the, where are we? Subject pop. So we've got subject depth, warm glow, rich and glowy, and back glow. So I'm going to use a warm glow. And this action you can run a few times if it's not strong enough. You can turn the opacity down if it's too strong. It's not too strong, but I am going to turn it down a little bit on the face and nowhere else. So to do that, I need a black brush. I'm going to mask off about 30% opacity on the face. Lovely. So if you wanted it stronger, every image is different. Just play the action again. Thought rather than having loads of actions that are the same, you may as well just play it again. So we've got some curves adjustments. Got create depth, bring up the midtones, warm sunlight, and blue matte. Blue matte is really, really pretty. It just adds a really beautiful matte to the image, and I just turn the opacity down so you can just see there. I really love that. So I'm going to leave that on. Colour transformations, I'm not going to change colour, I've already said that. Skin fix, there's not really anything to fix. Then we have the colour palette, so we can saturate anything. So let's go saturate everything, and I'm just going to turn that down. I'm going to use my black brush and mask that off the skin, so we're not saturating the skin, and I'm just going to take it off this part of the image just because I really love the tones there. Then we have, so we can saturate these colours as well, but they're not really in the image. Then we have soft haze, so these will work on the background only. I don't really want to do that. We can play with the haze here. Let's go green. No, I don't think I want to add any. Oh, I quite like warm haze. Let's turn that down though. And then I'm going to use my black brush, and I'm just going to mask it off her, and that will really help her stand off that backdrop as well. I am going to mask some of this posting as well, because otherwise it's just like she's floating on a hazed out post. Yeah, that's really pretty. I like that. Then we've got movable light, so we can add some sunlight in there. You just need to pick your colour. Let's go for yellow. It'll pop up like this. You just hit OK, and then you can move the light. So I'm just going to pop that there, and then you can play with the opacity slider if you wanted to bring that down. Okay, so then we've got overhead light. If you wanted to add overhead light, we've got some light adjustments. So you can add warm light. We've got cool light, magenta light, and green light. So let's invert that actually. I'm going to invert that, and then using my white brush, I'm just going to mask that on this part of the image here. A little bit over here. Okay. Then we have the sky adjustments, but obviously there's no sky in here. Colour overlays. So there's a few different coloured overlays. Let's invert that, and then using a 40% opacity brush, I'm going to mask that on. So you can really just use these actions to suit you. You need to invert them, just play around with them and really just adapt them to your workflow. And then we have, let's say I'm not adding any bokeh, so we've got clean finish. So that will just give the whole image a really clean finish. And I'm just actually going to mask that off her face. Oh, we've got the filters here. So we've got warm vintage, warm contrast, pastel grey days, cool spring, golden autumn, filmy haze, and feeling blue. So it's just having a play around with them, see what kind of filters suit your workflow. Let's try this. Turn that off and on so we can see the difference. I'll just turn that down. I quite like it, but not too much. Okay. Flat light. I absolutely love this action. It just gives you the opportunity to mask back the light. So you can just bring that glow back wherever you want it. So I can mask it down her face and down the arms and then into her, and then just wherever the light is coming from as well. I'll turn that off and on. You see, it just gives that beautiful look. I really love it. Okay, so then you've got rich glow, add clarity, saturate the background, so that'll just work on the background. Soft saturated matte, which is a really nice action. I love, 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 love this one, and you'll hear me going about it a lot. And then I'm just going to mask that just where I want that focal point, so where I want the focus going. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of dodge and burn. So burn, and then we use the burn tool. I'm just going to go around the shape of the nose. Whoops. So wherever you would normally burn, then just do as normal. So I'm just adding definition around the hair. And then I'm just going to go into the eyes. Okay, then I'm going to add some dodge. So go to my dodge tool, and I'm just going to start with the eyes. And I'll add a little bit in the hair as well. Okay. Then I am going to, what am I looking for? Warm highlights. So I'm going to use warm highlights and I'm going to mask that onto her face. And then I'm just going to use my opacity slider and turn that down a bit more. And if there's too much yellow or too much red, then you can just come in here and you can fix that. So I can turn that yellow down, turn the red up a tiny bit, and even add a little magenta. Let's go for 4 into magenta. So you can just I like to leave all the actions open. I'm not one of these that'll flatten all the actions so you don't know how it's working. The actions are going to work best for you if you know exactly what they're doing and exactly how they're working. So play around with them. Then we've got the finishing touches, soft painted details, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to mask that onto the hair. I've still not figured out the order of everything myself yet, so it will come familiar. I'll get used to it and we'll know exactly where they all are. I could probably tell you where all my other actions are off the top of my head. Okay, so I'm just using a black brush to feather that in. And then we've got sharpen, and you can adjust the strength of that as well. So my top tip is just turn it off and on, and then adjust the strength from there. You can zoom in as well. And then, in fact, what I'm going to do instead of flattening, I'm just going to group these together. And then I'm going to show you before and after. Before and after. And that is only using the new outdoor painterly portrait collection. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. Take care everyone. Bye.